According to a nonpartisan analysis from our friends at the Cook Political Report with Amy Walter, Democrats and their chances of holding on to the North Carolina governor's mansion in November, well, it's becoming a bit less likely. The Cook Political Report with Amy Walter has shifted this race from lean Democrat to toss-up. Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson faces the state's Attorney General Josh Stein. They are both vying to succeed Governor Roy Cooper, a Democrat who is term limited. Jessica Taylor joins us now. She is the Senate and Governor's editor for the Cook Political Report with Amy Walter. Jessica, great to see you. Why the shift in this governor's race in North Carolina?
So North Carolina is sort of an anomaly for Democrats, at least at the gubernatorial level, because we have seen Cooper, who ousted a Republican governor in 2016, even as Trump carried the state, won re-election in 2020, even as Trump carried the state once again. And if we look historically, over the past century, there have actually only been 3 Republican governors in the Tar Heel state's history. So I think we started this race in lean Democrat because of that advantage and because of a lot of the controversies that Robinson has. He's made a lot of anti-Semitic demeaning remarks about women and women in leadership and the LGBTQ plus community. And so I was really skeptical that this could become a much closer race, but we've had the primary in March, and actually Robinson did have a primary opponent that spent $5 million on air attacking him for some of these things. But what we have seen consistently in the polls over the past 6 weeks or so is that this is a very tight race. And our new polling that came out, the Swing State Project that we are conducting polls with, along with BSG Strategies, a Democratic firm, and GS Strategies, a Republican firm, showed that this race was tied. And that's consistent with the other polls that we have seen in this race. And so really what is driving this is that we have Trump winning this state by much more than he did even in 2016 and 2020. And that just becomes more difficult for Stein to outrun him, because even Roy Cooper, when he heavily outspent his Republican opponent, Dan Forest, in 2020, only won by a couple of points, and it was much closer than some of the polling predicted. So if we do see voters splitting their ticket, it's much more common in races for governor, where you're not voting in the Senate, you're voting for which party you want to control something. You're not doing that with governors. But at this juncture, we have to say that it is a tied race based on the numbers, and my Republican and Democratic sources in the state agree with that.
And Jessica, as you well know, Democrats associated with the Biden re-election campaign and on the campaign itself circle North Carolina as a possible place where they could make inroads, flip that state, expand the electoral map. What does this governor's race analysis tell you about the prospects of accomplishing that from the Democrats' perspective?
I still think if you're looking at where the Biden's path to 270 is, the Biden campaign's path, it is in Michigan, it is in Wisconsin, it is in Pennsylvania.
Where it was in 2020.
Exactly. But, he's doing worse in Arizona and some of those Sun Belt states, and Georgia. And then I still think North Carolina is still a little bit of a reach, but there are some Democrats I've talked to that when they look, for instance, at the numbers in Arizona and Georgia, that they think that North Carolina might be slightly more favorable. Our swing state polling there shows that Trump is still leading there by 7 points. So we'll see. We'll see if they end up investing money there and how much. But if I'm them, and when we're looking at where the polling numbers are, he has a much more plausible path through those, that blue wall in the Midwest.
How much does Mark Robinson's ability to raise money influence this analysis of where the race currently stands in North Carolina?
This is a key difference because, again, when I looked at this race initially, Robinson looked like such a problematic candidate. And now this race has not been fully litigated on the air. Neither Josh Stein, the Democrat, or Mark Robinson, the Republican, have gone up on air. So both of them will have the money to define themselves. And Stein has far outraised Robinson. But Robinson is raising very real money. He's already raised over $10 million, and he's on pace to bring in the most of any Republican gubernatorial candidate ever. That's including Pat McCrory, that was the most recent Republican to win. I think there were a lot of comparisons early on to him, like Doug Mastriano in Pennsylvania, that really handily lost that race to Josh Shapiro in 2022. But the key difference was that Mastriano never had a functional campaign. He wasn't raising money. So we have to also look at that as a facet of our analysis, that he is putting together a real campaign with real money, and that's something that Democrats very much are noticing in the race.
With all the details, Jessica Taylor, thank you so very much.
Thank you.